A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Ntv At One. My name is Solomon Serwanja. It's indeed a pleasure to have you watching. Let's start this afternoon's bulletin by taking a look at the top stories.
This is normal. Errors are there. We can only blame those who did them.
It was an error. Minister for Presidency speaks out on State House salary structures. A worrying discovery. Police finds new machetes in a vehicle bound for the troubled Rwenzori region. Divided by ethnic atrocities, a civil war raging, and on the brink of famine, South Sudan marks its third independence anniversary. Once again, a very warm welcome to Ntv At One. Now, the Minister for the Presidency, Frank Tumwebaze, says there was an error in the ministerial policy statement for the financial year 2014-2015. The statement tabled on the floor of Parliament last evening shows that some employees at State House earn as much as 96 million shillings a month. He says there was an error which had earlier been detected and corrected through a letter which was written to the Clerk of Parliament. Here's Frank Tumwebaze discussing more on that issue.
There was a typo error in the document which we presented to Parliament, and immediately we detected it. And on the 1st of July, much before yesterday, the Secretary Office of the President pointed it out to the clerk. So when you make a mistake in the document, you don't withdraw it, you add an addendum. This is normal. Errors are there. We can only blame those who did them, but it is not true that people in the State House earn 96 million a month, earn 87. Their scales are the normal scales of public service, and they just get other top-up allowances. And these are always approved by Parliament. They are aware. So, and we detected this before even Honorable Gwara raised it. He raised it yesterday on the 8th, on the 8th of July. This letter of ours was received by the clerk on 4th, correcting it. Where would we get the money to pay those salaries which Parliament does not give us? That logic should have been able to be seen by any other. We apologize for the error, of course, because it's our staff who did that error. But the fact is, that's not the money they earn.
Frank Tumwebaze, the Minister for the Presidency, explaining more on the salary structures at State House. But moving on, police have impounded a vehicle containing machetes and knives. The car was bound for the troubled Rwenzori region. Police publicist Fred Enanga says the occupants of the car are in custody as police seeks an explanation as to why they were carrying these weapons to an already tense region.
Last evening, police in Kasese arrested men who were found driving a car full of machetes and knives.
We recovered pangas and knives in a saloon car being transported. We arrested the suspects. These were new pangas and knives, and we've exhibited them and also interrogating the suspects to tell us where were the source, what is the source of these pangas, for the benefit of who and for what motive.
Their identity has not been disclosed as yet. Meanwhile, 200 people arrested during and after the weekend clashes in Bundibugyo and Kasese are being screened.
We have investigative teams that are doing interviewing and interrogating the suspects whom we do have. Yesterday in Bundibugyo, out of the 91, we were able to screen and interview. We've remained with 55 whom we feel still have whom we still need much more information from.
The traditional leaders who were also part of the group will also remain in custody a little longer. The police say the situation in the region is under control, and those who had abandoned their homes for camps are slowly returning home to rebuild. Solomon Kawesa, Ntv At One.
Now, still on the security situation in the Rwenzori Kingdom, In the Rwenzururu region, police in Kasese have deployed a marine unit at Lake Edward as a measure to monitor the waters. The lake, which separates Uganda and Congo, is thought to be a possible route used to carry out attacks on the Ugandan side. Now, Michael Musana, the Kasese DPC, says the marine unit will help with the security concerns around the lake.
In case there are people who think of using the same lake, then of course police will always be there to do what they are supposed to do.
That is one of the latest from the Rwenzori security situation. As we continue to monitor it, we have Suhail Mugabi in Bundibugyo and Julius Senkandwa and the entire team in Kasese. Be sure that we will be bringing you all the latest on the Bundibugyo Kasese crisis. But moving on, South Sudan celebrates its third independence anniversary today. The streets of the capital have been lined with banners proclaiming one people, one nation, with government of President Salva Kiir sent to put up a show of force with a military parade and speeches delivered to celebrate the breakaway from the repressive government in Khartoum.
Authorities have deployed heavy security ahead of commemorations, underscoring the bitter divisions in the world's youngest nation, where a nearly 7-month-old civil war rages on. South Sudan has been wrecked by war since mid-December, when presidential guards loyal to Kiir clashed troops supporting ousted Vice President Riek Machar, who fled to the bush and rallied a huge rebel army. The fighting has been marked by widespread atrocities against both members of the Nuer people, to which Machar belongs, and revenge attacks against Kiir's Dinka group, the single largest tribe. Civilians have been massacred and dumped in mass graves, patients murdered in hospitals and churches, and the entire town flattened as urban centers, including key oil-producing hubs, changed hands several times. The most conservative estimates put the toll of 10,000 dead, although aid workers say the real figure is likely far higher. Almost 100,000 civilians are sheltering in squalid camps inside the UN bases, fearing revenge attacks if they leave.
Now, South Sudan celebrates its third anniversary today. It's the world's youngest nation. However, its anniversary comes in the midst of a war, which some call a tribal conflict, which started way back in December and has seen thousands of South Sudanese flee their homes to safety. Attempts at peace talks have flawed in spite of interventions from the regional countries. In the studio to discuss the South Sudan situation and its independence is Ambassador Samuel Luwate. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Ambassador.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for inviting me tonight.
First, I want to actually congratulate you upon your third independence.
Thank you. It is a fantastic day for us today.
I think preparations are already on in South Sudan.
Beautiful. The celebration is already going on.
All right, you seem to be like you would want to be home, but you are here, and again, it's a big pleasure to have you. The world's youngest nation, Ambassador, celebrating its third independence anniversary, but its history has been marred by bloodshed and on the brink of famine. I want to ask you, is this the nation that the father of South Sudan, John Garang, envisaged?
Well, definitely this is not based on the situation that we have. When South Sudan obtained independence 3 years ago, it was a nation for everybody. It was a nation that the people of South Sudan would want to see after decades of wars. But of course, in a political situation, you can always find people who have their own greeds, who would want to destroy a country, and that's why you see that the country is not really in a proper jubilant celebration as it happened 2 years ago.
Ambassador Luwate, a lot has happened in the past. You're celebrating your third anniversary. What should be done to ensure that what has been happening before will not happen again after this anniversary?
Well, the government of the Republic of South Sudan has said it clearly from day one that this war is a senseless war. It's not a war that really
You can't say
could
it's a
break us.
senseless war, Ambassador, because we've seen people dying, really.
Well, it's a senseless war because the rebels has brought that war completely to the government of South Sudan. The government of South Sudan was capitalizing on development and the provision of services to the people of South Sudan. But apparently, as I said, those who have the greed brought the situation to this particular time. And therefore, the country is moving forward. The government is committed that the peace comes to South Sudan. From day one, we had said that with this crisis that has happened, the government of South Sudan is willing to negotiate with these rebels without preconditions. And that's why we have gone to Ethiopia to discuss with the rebels. And that's why the government is maintaining the position that the Republic of South Sudan should remain as a country for all the people of South Sudan.
Talking about peace, Ambassador Luwate, how far has the peace deal gone? Because I'm sure that previously the opposition, which is led by Riek Machar, I don't know if is the rebel leader, Riek Machar, was saying that Salva Kiir is not very, he prefers to be the president than looking at a country going down the drain. How far have we gone with the peace?
No, definitely the situation here is not that the Salva Kiir is not willing to have peace in the country. This is a president elected by the people of the Republic of South Sudan. We have a constitution in this Republic of South Sudan. That constitution and the people of South Sudan elected this president. And therefore, for Dr. Riek Machar to say that the Salva Kiir preferred to be in power, then seeing the problem of South Sudan is not correct here. He is the person that has made this mistake, because if he wanted to become a president of that country, then he should likewise follow the same procedures. Go to the elections and let the people elect him to become a president of that country. With regard to the peace process now, it is he who is now responsible for making this process not to go ahead. The government of South Sudan has gone to Ethiopia. The government of South Sudan has signed a cessation of hostilities. Riek Machar is still attacking positions of South Sudan to the Ethiopian-South Sudan border.
Don't you think that it's time up for South Sudan leaders to stop pointing fingers at each other as we conclude to look to peace after this independence?
Well, this is what Salva Kiir have said. He said, I have come to Ethiopia to sign an agreement here for these rebels to come. They have said we want to form an interim government or a government of national unity, whatever the mediators would call. The president has said, let them first of all settle this issue. And then the discussions towards the interim government, whatever government they wanted to put into place, will be put into place. The president has not said no, but it is Dr. Riek Machar who is now really apprehending himself and is not for this peace at this particular moment.
We all wish South Sudan a very peaceful journey and a great celebrations. Ambassador Samuel Luwate, South Sudanese ambassador in Uganda, joining us to discuss the independence celebrations in South Sudan. But we've been continuing to keep our eyes open on the Bundibugyo crisis. Suhail Mugabe is right in the Bundibugyo and now brings us the latest from there.
And order now seems to be restored here in Bundibugyo district. Today we are seeing that most of the shops have now been opened and people are carrying on with their businesses. The number on the streets today has increased and the people have managed to gather the confidence to come around. A few days ago, these people were living in fear following a group of people that descended from Mount Resori, attacking most of the government installations, including a bank.
We have been under house arrest by ourselves in looking for our personal security. So it was only yesterday when a few people began flowing here in town. But majority of them, most of them have migrated. Others are still displaced.
It seems that everything is now going back to normal. And business is now going on slowly by slowly, and most of the shops today have been opened.
If you go to the markets now, you'll find some people selling their things and others buying. It shows that people and the situation is coming to normality. Yeah.
The security agencies are going ahead with the patrols, trying to make sure that nothing happens here in town.
I don't have any fear. I think with the deployment, they are going to curb the situation.
Yesterday, we saw people packing up their bags trying to vacate this place, but it's not the case today. It seems that people today are now more free and have managed to gain confidence. Suhail Mugabi, NTV, Bundibugyo district.
NTV's Suhail Mugabi in Bundibugyo with the latest on the crisis. NTV at One now takes a short break, but we return with more stories.
Connect to electricity for free. If you are 35 meters away from the nearest electricity pole and the line has been existent for the last 18 months or more, simply wire your house with the help of a certified electrician. Present your wiring certificate to your nearest electricity distribution company to properly inspect your house before connection. Apply for free connection to electricity and start saving more on items like paraffin, radio batteries today.
This message is brought to you by the Rural Electrification Agency, implementing the Output-Based Aid OBA project.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Log in.
This week on Login, Nation Media scoops majority awards in the RTV Awards. Dr. Jose Chameleon Unplugged. All this Wednesday, 7:30 p.m.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Welcome back from that short break. You are still watching NTV at One. Now, one person has been killed and 3 others critically injured in an accident on the Masaka-Kampala highway near Lukaya town. Eyewitnesses said a coach carrying 56 people collided with a Fuso truck in Rera Swamp at about 10 p.m. The driver of the bus from Bara attempted to overtake a smaller car at a blind corner and rammed into the truck from the opposite direction. The police identified the deceased as Grace Tumuhire, and the injured people, who included the bus driver, admitted in Masaka Referral Hospital. The traffic officer in Lukaya area, Dennis Kweyamba, attributes the cause of the accidents to overspeeding and reckless driving by the bus driver.
In Ruera at around 2200 hours, whereby an Isuzu coach bus number UAS 508F was coming from Barara going towards Kampala. When it reached Ruera, in a corner, as it was trying to maneuver, overtaking, it collided with a Fuso truck which was carrying goods from Kampala and knocked it off-road.
It's really sad, and if you're driving along the Masaka-Kampala highway, you need to really be very careful. But to neighboring Kenya, residents of Lamu County are fleeing from their homes in fear of another attack. They have just left their farms and businesses and are looking for alternative places to stay. The fourth attack in the area in the span of 3 weeks happened Monday night. Lamu Conservation Trust office and stores were burnt down. More than 80 people have been killed since the attack started 3 weeks ago, and police say they have arrested 45 suspects. NTV's Mercy Juma with the latest from Lamu.
When everything else fails and desperation kicks in, All a community can do is taking it all to the one they believe in prayer. Those they had hoped will save them have failed, but their hope in a supreme being still remains. When fear and rage amalgamate and the only other way they can voice their pain, their sadness is through protests. They have watched as their families, their homes and businesses crumbled to ashes in just 3 weeks. They have buried their dead and are still sitting in burial committees. This has turned out to be the life of the people of one of the 47 counties of the sovereign state of Kenya, Lamu County.
Chakula yote eka 5 eka 6 zinawachiwa chakula, tomatoes zilikuwa zinaanza kuzaa. Sasa zimechiwa mayonda. Ya pili tumechomewa na nyumba, tumepakia hata mtu. Pesa zimechomewa, kama huwa amechomewa na nyumba za ngurubu, hana pesa za ngurubu, sasa sijui atalipa na nini.
The fourth attack happened last night. At 10 p.m., armed attackers raided Lamu Conservation Trust located within Amu Ranch in Lamu and burnt offices, stores and a Toyota Land Cruiser. No one was injured in the incident.
Kitendo kilifanyika saa 5 usiku. Na kwa dakika hiyo moja lichoma kila mahali hapa. Hakukuwa ati hapa tachoma masaa hii, tatukua moto hapa akachoma pale. Ilichoma kwa mara moja. Kwa hivyo watu ni kuonesha kwamba walikuwa wengi. Mimi naona naweza kukadiria kama watu 20 au zaidi.
We don't know what will happen the next night because these guys are coming at night. So we are just spending our night expecting any news. Like yesterday, we were expecting of any news, and actually today, early in the morning, there were news that they attacked a certain village.
The incident comes barely 2 days after the Deputy President gave the Inspector General David Kimayo a 48-hour ultimatum to flush out the gunmen who killed 22 people in Lamu and Tana River counties. Police spokesman Masood Mwinyi says a team led by Deputy Inspector General Samuel Arachi has arrested 45 suspects.
These suspects will be arraigned in court once investigations have been finalized. And this is very soon.
Outlawed sect MRC has been blamed for the Hindi and Gamba killings, even though Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the same attacks.
Hundreds of families are fleeing their farms in the outskirts of Hindi Trading Center and other parts of Lamu. The close to 500 families, fearing for their safety, are now spending nights in the cold, camping at the compound of Hindi Prison in Lamu West. Masi Juma, NTV, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Masi Juma, there for that report. On to our international sport. It was pure humiliation for Brazil as Germany ran riot at the Mineiro Stadium to bring the host World Cup journey to a chilling close. Germany scored 5 goals in 18 astonishing first half minutes on their way to a 7-1 semi-final against Brazil on Tuesday, which shattered the hosts' hopes of reaching the final.
After a brief 10-minute spell when Brazil looked dangerous down the left flank, they began wobbling when Thomas Müller opened the scoring after 11 minutes when he stole away from his marker David Luiz and volleyed home.
Germany score! It's exactly what Brazil was dreading. Thomas Müller, with his 5th goal of these World Cup finals, sends a shiver through the nation.
Closer then made it 2-0 in the 23rd minute with his record-breaking goal after smacking in a rebound of goalkeeper Julio Cesar.
Brazil in real trouble. They're in dire trouble now. We have a World Cup record supplied by Miroslav Klose. Goal number 16 in his World Cup career.
Cruz scored with a sweet shot as Brazil started to show frailties at the back, and before they could even resettle, the midfielder struck again to make it 4-0. Sami Khedira added the 5th before half-time after a smart 1-2 with Mesut Ozil. Chelsea's Andre Schala added a 6th when he converted Lam's low cross from inside the box with a simple tap-in. Schala then added his 2nd and Germany's 7th of the night with a smart finish off the underside of the crossbar.
They have got 7. It's hammered in. An absolutely terrific strike from Schürrle, who has his 2nd in a matter of minutes.
Oscar grabbed a late consolation goal, but the final whistle soon sounded as Low's side reached the final for the first time since 2002. Coach Luis Felipe Scolari described the loss as the worst day of his life and said he took responsibility. Germany coach Joachim Low says his team's technical response to Brazilian emotion laid the foundation for their stunning 7-1 victory.
Who is responsible when the team plays? Who is invited as the coach? Who is the coach? Who's responsible for capping the team? I am. It's me. So the catastrophic result can be shared with the whole group because my players want that and will tell you that we are going to share all the responsibilities. But the choice, who decided the tactical lineup, the way to play, I did. So the results and the person responsible is me.
Total humiliation for the Brazil team. Now, Ismail Dakaba Chigongo is standing by there to just discuss with us a little bit about this match. Ismail, what happened for Brazil? What went wrong?
Honestly, I would struggle to tell you what exactly went wrong. But like Arsene Wenger once said, after losing to Chelsea by 6-0, that was a freak accident. You wouldn't have predicted it. You wouldn't have bet on it. 7-1, teams lose games. I thought Germany were favorites coming into the tie. But to go and lose 7-1, that was amazing. But that's about the German efficiency. For those first 18 or 19 minutes, Brazil will regret whatever happened, and that's why I was seeing a report on the BBC just a few minutes ago that the entire country is subdued. You walk into a train, there's no one talking to you. That's how bad the result was. But probably if you want to find a few remedies, look at those two defenders, David Luiz and Dante. We'll be looking at how poor they were defensively on the night.
All that and more, of course, Ismail Dakaba Chigongo and the entire team will be discussing the detail of yesterday's match and also what we expect today between Netherlands and Argentina. That's all we had for you for NTV at 1. Thank you so much for watching. Coming up is Omumuli Gwemizanyo.